welcome to another edition of the Outpost with DAV Chapter 17 here in Winnebago County. My name is Mike Hurt, and my co-host is
Adam Alexander.
And we're very excited to be here. The mission of the show is really two parts. One, every male, female service member veteran that is on this show, they are a piece of American history. They are a slice of this country. And I think it's always been very important that we get to hear their story and what they did while they were wearing the uniform. The second part is that we are the Disabled American Veterans. We are DAV. And we also like to be able to hear the impact DAV has had on them, how it's been of assistance, and so forth. So this is a very big show because with us we have none other than National Commander Andy Marshall. And we are right now, it's actually the state convention here in Green Bay. And Commander Marshall was very gracious. He's flown down here and we'll be heading up things here at the DAV State Convention. And we're able to get a little bit of time, and we're going to kind of get that big 10,000-foot view of the organization. And plus, he's got a fascinating military background as well. And with that, I will hand the microphone over to the DAV National Veteran of the Year, our very own Adam Alexander. Not that we're not proud here.
Thank you for that introduction. And Commander Marshall, why don't we start by having you give us a little bit about your background, your service history, and how you got started with DAV.
I was attending college, Marshall University, and I had this class, biophysiological science. And I really didn't like that class. I couldn't take it anymore, so I dropped it. Did not realize that also that 3-hour course had another hour of lab with that class, and that put me down below, put me at 12 hours full time, which resulted in me being drafted. So I was drafted, went to basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, advanced infantry training at Fort Gordon, Georgia, and then back to Fort Benning for jump school. And then after that, I was assigned to the Republic of Vietnam, combat infantryman with the Marical Division first. And I spent about 8 months with the Marical Division. I was a point man. And then I was transferred to the one, before that I was wounded, friendly fire, when we were under attack, and I got a concussion from a rocket from a gunship. Sure. And then spent like 5 days in the hospital or so. Minor wound in my leg, left leg. It was 1 or 2 pieces of shrapnel, no big deal. That was not an issue. Then I was transferred to 173rd Airborne. They needed people with the 173rd, and I happened to be airborne qualified, so I was transferred. And I spent 2 months with them, and then in January of 1971, I received my second Purple Heart, and it was a significant enough injuries to retire me from the military. And then I looked around for job after job after job, and could not pass a physical. And someone referred me to the DAV office, and I spent 41 years as a DAV National Service Officer, retiring a few years ago.
You know, I guess I got to, first off, I mean, it's really humbling to be sitting with you two gentlemen, combat wounded and so forth. But one of the questions that I'd like to have answered, and I've had this where people will come up and go, hey, you know, I'm not combat wounded, I didn't get hurt in service, you know, I can't join DAV. How do you respond to that, Commander, when you hear that?
Usually I tell them how lucky they are.
Yeah.
That they can't join DAV because they do not have an illness or injury related to their military service. Mm-hmm. And you know, that sets us apart from all the other veteran service organizations. Strict criteria, you must have an injury or illness as a result of military service.
So you can have service connected for blowing out a knee in a PT test.
PT test, hearing loss, tinnitus, various disabilities. But as long as they happen while on active duty, you're eligible for membership in a DEV. And our membership is cheaper than most other memberships.
Yep, yep. That's one thing too that has struck me with the organization is just how it is built and the professionalism involved. It's a great organization to be a part of, and I will tell you is it has become like second family for all of us. Adam, what was it like when you first got involved with DAV after you got injured and after you got home?
It fit like a puzzle piece, kind of, because I was missing that camaraderie because I was medically retired far sooner than I had planned on. The Army was done with me far sooner than I was done with the Army, basically, and I was missing that camaraderie that I had with my fellow soldiers. And once I got involved with DAV and connected to the veteran community, then that piece kind of fit back into my life, and I fell in just like it was the old days with my comrades in arms. And it really gave me that piece that I was missing.
Was that the same experience for you, Commander?
As I was an employee for the DEV for 41 years, and so I was very active in Department of Maryland when I worked there, and the Department of Connecticut, and also in the Department of Florida, where I currently serve as its Department Adjutant and Executive Director, as well as the current DEV National Commander. And it's, to see, I've heard numerous stories like yours, Adam, and unfortunately, the majority of the ones who do become active don't do it until later in life, when after they've had their career working and now they're retired, and either they're looking for something to do or their husband or wife are telling them, you better find something to do to get out of the house. And that seems to be the biggest part of them becoming active, is when they are looking to fulfill their time.
Yeah.
There's no better way than giving back.
Absolutely.
I said I worked for DAV for 41 years. I started in the DAV National Service Office in St. Petersburg for a few years, and transferred to the Assistant Supervisor's position of Hartford, Connecticut, and spent almost a year there, and was transferred to our Board of Veterans Appeals Office, preparing appeal briefs and conducting hearings on appeal in Washington. At that time, I was the highest appellate process there was for veterans, until they opened a court of veterans claims. And then once that opened, I was assigned to our court office as a non-attorney practitioner. The two courts that accept the non-attorneys practicing before them is the Court of Veterans Appeals for veterans claims and the tax court. And so I was able to work United States Court of Veterans Appeals office for several years, and I presented cases, wrote briefs, appellate briefs, reply briefs, did everything an attorney does. And then I had the opportunity to find a case that resulted in the duty to assist, where the VA now recognize that they have to assist veterans in development of their claims. And then after I left the court, I became involved in another big issue of clothing allowance. A veteran can get an annual clothing allowance from the VA if they have a service-connected compensable disability that tends to wear or tear their clothing. Okay. And so you got one clothing allowance. And I was looking at the regulation one day, and I thought, I got two good friends, Dennis Joyner and Jim Searsley, and both of them are triple amputees from Vietnam. And I said, not only does they're in wheelchairs, of course, and very high amputees can't wear prosthetic appliances except for their arm. And so both of them have legs. And I thought, they're entitled to a clothing allowance because they're in a wheelchair. Tends to tear or wear their clothing. Okay. But they also have a prosthetic device, which tends to tear and wear out their shirts. So pursued that issue, and of course, was denied by the VA, of course. And then it went to appeal to the board. They denied it. It went to the court, and they denied it. And the DAV appealed it to the Federal Circuit. And the Federal Circuit Court overruled the VA and said, yes, veterans should be entitled to more than one clothing allowance if they have a disability that tends to wear or tear their clothing. Sure. So that was a big case and a landmark case, and veterans from then up to the present time and future will benefit from that court decision.
Absolutely.
So I'm very proud of that.
We grew up together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3838.
My name is Mike, and I'm the DAV.
My name is Annette, and I am the DAV.
I'm Lee, and I'm the DAV.
I'm Dick, and I am the DAV.
I'm Steve, and I'm the DAV.
I'm Rod, and I'm the DAV.
I'm Adam, and I'm the DAV.
I am George, I am the DAV.
We are the DAV.
DAV, fulfilling our promises to the men and women who served.
Are there any other accomplishments or moments in DAV that you're particularly proud of?
Yes, being elected national officer for the DAV, being elected this past August in Tampa as the national commander of the DAV, and there were a couple things that I definitely wanted to do as national commander, and one of them I just accomplished at Memorial Day weekend was able to lay the wreath to Tomb of the Unknown. I was really looking forward to that. It may sound morbid, but you know, the honor to be able to do that, I wanted to do for several years. Yes, and got to attend same day. Got to attend a breakfast at the White House.
Fantastic.
And met Secretary of Defense Austin, General Miley, the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. I met the two most senior enlisted persons in the Army and the Coast Guard, and they changed their ranks. There's some other thing instead of command sergeant major or whatever they're called now, they changed it to like 4 letters or something. And I met a 4-star general who's in charge of the National Guard. I think that's a temporary 4-star. If I'm not mistaken. And I met an admiral from the Navy, and it was very interesting to be there. And the president did show up for the breakfast, and got to talk to him for a couple minutes. And we also, at the same time, that same weekend, at the old RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., they had the rally for Honor of the Pact Act, and they had I was one of the speakers. And that's very important legislation, and now it's been passed by the House. Now it's waiting to be hopefully passed by the Senate to allow presumptions for veterans exposed all the way from Agent Orange up to the present day for burn pits. And it's just not burn pits; it's Agent Orange and contaminated water from Camp Lejeune and other toxic exposures. And this is a very important piece of legislation. And it comes up to vote either this week or next week in the Senate, and hopefully senators will do what Congress did and pass this important piece of legislation. So it's been an enjoyable year as national commander. Get to travel.
Successful year, I might say.
Successful. I've been trying to come to this convention for 3 years now. First one was canceled because of the pandemic. Last year, a good friend, Jim Searcy, one of our past national commanders, died Memorial Day weekend, so I had to cancel coming up here, and I did promise the Department of Wisconsin that I would be back this year, and was able to make it.
Great things are happening here in the Department of Wisconsin.
Department of Wisconsin, not only, they have 2 members, Al LaBelle, he's on our National Legislative Interim Committee, and Matt, the current department commander, he's on our National Interim Legislative Committee. We got you as this year's DAV Disabled Veteran of the Year. We got a person from the Employment Service, one of the LVAT or LVER awards or DVOP awards. I can't remember which one they won. And one of the We also give an award to Small, Medium, and Large Employer of the Year, and one of those is from Wisconsin also.
Fantastic, wow.
Yeah, so Wisconsin's done well this year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the one thing, Commander, I would like for you to touch upon, because this is the thing that has always hit me about our organization, is when the national commander goes down to Washington and testifies, and, we on the local level, we talk so much about, that we're out there to make a difference, and we work with our elected officials. And to me, that was one of the most powerful moments as a member, is when you get to see that testimony, because we're literally right in front and saying, hey, these are the priorities, these are the concerns. And what was that whole experience like for you? I mean, was it a little intimidating or not, or what did you think?
Well, being an employee of the organization and a national officer the past several years, I've attended all of those presentations before Congress, and I was looking forward to that event, because it's our biggest legislative program of the year. It is on that day, and this year was a little different. Although I was able to testify, it was closed, and all of our members were back at the hotel and had to watch it on a screen instead of them being behind you like usual and cheering and applauding and stuff. That part didn't happen this year, but still was able to testify. And it's it's not rehearsed, it's not scripted. There's no, you have some questions that you think they will ask you, and some of them they will ask you, but it's very humbling to sit there, and up there in front of you is the House Chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee and the Senate Chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee and other members of the Veterans Affairs Committee who are there, and they come and go depending on their agenda, and and it was it's very humbling experience when you're there and you got all these representatives, members of Congress and the Senate up there, and you are telling them what you want them to do and how to care for our nation's veterans.
A very important job, and we thank you for doing it.
Yeah, like I say, it was. I only wish I had our membership behind me in the audience and not back at the hotel.
Right.
Because some of them told me that we were cheering and clapping, so we missed some of your opening remarks on other when they would ask you a question. And being employed by the DAV and working in the regional office and the Board of Veterans Appeals and court for 40-some years, I had knowledge of programs and stuff, so I was able to answer some of those questions myself before deferring to the limited staff members that we had there. So it's a great experience. It's a great experience to tell them what we want and what we want them to accomplish on our behalf.
Actually feel like they're listening.
Pardon?
And actually feel like they're listening.
Yes, I feel like they're listening. There were some who were there, and there were some who would join by video because they were in their office and didn't want to come, or the VA is still very, very COVID leery, in my personal opinion. They're like the last to stop some of this stuff. It's a shame, because the ones that suffer, it's not us who suffer. It's not them who suffer. It's the patients in the hospital, because DAV, we go to these hospitals through our voluntary services, and we have picnics for them. We have bingo games. We have other games where we give them if they win, they get things to spend in the hospital through the canteen and buy them stuff. But with COVID, since COVID, that has come to a stop. The VA's still too paranoid to allow us to come outside and have a picnic. Outdoors. I don't understand that personally. Maybe indoors, yes, somewhat, but outdoors, there shouldn't be any restrictions on them like that, and the patients are the ones who are suffering.
Absolutely.
Just a quick question with the DAV, with ourselves as a veteran service organization, what do you see as the challenges ahead in the coming years? And any words of encouragement, especially for those members at the chapter level.
Well, personally, as a Vietnam veteran, it's been 40 years since people would see you on the street and say thank you for your service, and that's because of post 9/11 veterans. The American public welcomed them home and try to do what they can for them, and it's benefited not only them but prior generations of veterans coming home and who are finally hearing the public say thank you for your service. And to be able to go to a DAV chapter meeting and have your fellow veterans there from Vietnam, a few Korea, not many, but to be able to get together, share experiences, check on each other, the buddy system. If you're having suicidal thoughts, someone don't want to call VA, but they may call their buddy, or someone they served with. And that's really important to be able to get together as a group of disabled, ill or injured veterans. Try not to say disabled any longer. Ill or injured veterans, and share common experiences. Get together, have lunch, maybe have dinners, have meetings, have functions, have forget-me-not drives. Go to the hospitals and clinics and visit veterans who are in the hospital. And it's this organization is the best there is. It's better than any other veterans organization by far. We do more for veterans than any other veterans organization does, and we are proud of what we do.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are veterans who cannot get to the hospitals or clinics on their own, and we, the DAV, provides that service. We buy vans and donate those vans to the various VA facilities around the country, and and thankfully we have volunteer drivers who would volunteer their most precious gift, which is time, to transport veterans to and from their medical appointments. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there, or can't get there. And and unfortunately, VA went to a lot of virtual medical appointments, and a lot of our World War II veterans and some of their Vietnam veterans don't have that capability. Sure. Don't have the computers, don't have the technology to be able to do that. And then they tell them, well, try them on your cell phone. That's just the same thing. But they know how to operate a cell phone, but not to do video calls and things like that.
Yes, we'll be telling them to perform the surgery on themselves.
Yes. But now the VA finally back to in-person appointments mostly, and veterans are better off by going in person. I mean,
absolutely.
I had one video appointment with the doctor, and what were my lab values? I don't know. They didn't take my blood pressure, of course, because you're not there. And so it's not as good, even though VA may think it's as good as being in person. It's clearly not. It's clearly not.
In some cases, it may be a viable alternative, but not all cases.
No. So we're lucky that we have volunteers who will drive these veterans to and from their appointment, and volunteers or employees who will schedule those appointments. Got to have the people who schedule them, as well as the people who will volunteer to drive. And and a lot of places, like in Florida, where I'm from, we're fortunate because we have so many retirees down there.
Sure.
And rarely do we have a non-veteran who's willing to do these things. It's veterans, and probably the same around the country. Dedicate an hour a day or 1 day a week driving. It doesn't have to be 5 days a week, 4, 3. It could be 1 day a week, depending on where you're located. And thanks to our volunteers, veterans are getting what they need from the VA hospitals and clinics.
We're running a little low on time, so are there any closing thoughts you want to leave us with?
Well, I'm just glad to be here in the Department of Wisconsin. As I said, they got Disabled Veteran of the Year. They got 2 members on our national interim committees. They got a large or medium employer of the year, and they got the either DVOP or LVER of the year from Wisconsin. So Wisconsin's done well this year.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, and they also have the Volunteer of the Year from Wisconsin.
Right,
Your
yes.
current
He was our guest
Senior
2
Vice
months
Commander.
ago?
Mr. Hilliard.
Rob Hilliard,
Rob
yeah.
Hilliard. He's the National Volunteer of the Year for DEV. So not only Wisconsin had the Disabled Veteran of the Year, they also had the National Volunteer of the Year.
Yeah, that wraps up another edition of the Outpost, and thank you so much for viewing. Bye now.